What is up, YouTube? So, welcome back to another video. I won't call it post trading analysis because I'm also going to give live updates as we speak. But we're gonna go over some macro price action on Bitcoin, zoom in afterwards, and then talk about some trades I've taken today and yesterday, and just give my overall thoughts and views on the market. So, for the people that watched my previous video, I was talking about and giving you guys multiple scenarios. I was talking about, hey, this could be a bigger Wyckoff Model 1, 1, 2, 3. And then from here, we have that V-shaped recovery where we break this high, which is your most important high to break right here. And then from there, we can have a rotation towards the all-time high, which is the range high. Now, that was scenario 1. I was also talking about how this could, turn into a PO3, where this is your range. We'll have some manipulation below the range low, trapping retail traders into thinking we're going lower, where there was also a possible scenario of this being like a PO3 inside of a PO3. It's on my Twitter explained as well as on my YouTube. So you can go watch that. I'm not going over that right now. And then, of course, the expansion is what follows. That was scenario 2 with the 2 possible PO3 scenarios. And then lastly, we had that possibility of price just leaving the range, coming a bit deeper, and then putting in a higher low from there. Because overall, we're still in a higher time frame upward structure. And with that upward structure, I mean structure from the top or from the low up, right? So skipping over the first few points because they're irrelevant now. High, low, higher high, higher low, higher high. So price could easily just come into this range demand right here and put in that higher low for the higher high on the weekly. Okay? Those were all the scenarios that I gave you guys. And now zooming in. Let's zoom in, putting that range back on our chart right here. I gave you guys this POI to watch for that we just front ran. Actually pretty nice. But also this daily order block right underneath it for that PO3 inside of a PO3 scenario, right? So, price wick the low. Didn't actually manage to properly close below it because we had that upwards candle that followed. And since there, we have just been ranging, okay? We have just been ranging, and this would be our range. And as of now, this is looking more like a distribution, okay? Because initially, your range starting points were this low and this high, okay? That was your range starting point. From there, we deviated the high once, came back inside, deviated once, came back inside. Let's extend it. And then from there, we deviated again on Thursday, okay? Kind of indicating a Wyckoff Model 1 distribution schematic, where also the second and the third tab came into this nice looking supply zone. There you go. Because so far, it's not showing that many signs of strength because we have the distribution at the top that is confirmed. It is confirmed. While also your most important structure high to break, this is our most important high as we discussed earlier. Why is it our most important high? Because it's our main market structure pool from the top down. So from the top down, we have that break over here, right? And then we just had lower highs and lower lows all the way down with many, many, many breaks like this. So in order to have that rotation towards a new range high, we have to break that main market structure pool from the top down, right? You can kind of skip over these points because they come to the same conclusion. So this is our most important high to break. However, as you guys know, we can dissect the market structure in this last leg to potentially confirm a rotation towards this high. And then from there on, we have to reassess if we can break that high. So zooming in between these 2 points and looking at the market structure, the most important market structure on the 1 hour time frame is you have all these lower highs and lower lows. Just skip over a few. There you go. Is lower high, lower low right here. This is your most important high. And people may argue from, oh yeah, this is a break. This is not a break because right after that break, you SFP'd it and you broke it back to bearish here, right? So knowing that you're in that range, this is not a break yet. I would call it a break once you start breaking past this red supply zone, okay? That's when you're kind of leaving this range, okay? But so far it's not a break. So we do have this local distribution at the top while having some nice sell side liquidity below us, right? This is just all liquidity right here. All just nice sell side liquidity. The only support zone that we had was this 10-minute order block with imbalance. It was literally the only demand zone in the whole range. And that's where we got that bounce from. So, we still have this distribution and it was confirmed. So looking at how price developed after taking that high, right here, we took that high on Thursday at 2:30. That's a nice timing. And then what happened is following our structure, as you guys know, you confirm a Model 1 distribution if you break structure from the low up between tap 2 and tap 3. So this is the low. So check the mark structure from the low up. We have high, higher low, higher high, higher low, all the way up. There you go. Boom. So at that moment, this was our low to break right here. That was our low. First, we SFP'd it once. We SFP'd it twice. And then right here is where we broke it, right? Right here is where we broke it. However, given the context of the range, I have given you guys a little secret before of how you can, pre-short a primary market structure break, because this marks from the low up. That's the most important one. However, since it was such a significant zone and we had such a significant buy to sell, right? This buy to sell behavior, and we started wicking the low and respecting supply. So we were putting in lower highs and lower lows. It was just always a wick and not a candle body close. What I do in those situations is if I see market structure from the low up break back to bearish, even though we have an SFP at the low, it will confirm the price is going to come back to that low. And then we can hope for a break, right? So right here we had an SFP. I'm checking structure from the low up. There's no valid structure, so nothing we can wait for, but we do see that the supply is getting respected, right? Supply is in control. And then we put in a lower low. Again, this was an SFP on the 5-minute time frame, and right here is actually where you do have structure, right? And boom, the moment this broke bearish, that's the confirmation that the SFP is going to be temporary and price is going to visit that low. So right there was my entry. However, I did not put my stop this tight. I initially calculated my stop still above that high and above this high, right? So I did a higher percent risk using this high and a normal percent risk using this high, talking about a 1 to 2% risk. And from there, I was literally potentially targeting the low right here, all the way down to here for a massive swing position, right? Now, what happened is that on breaking that structure, we left behind supply because price never mitigated this zone again. And we can clearly see there was a very aggressive move out of this zone. So it shows a clear point in price where sellers stepped in. This equals range supply, and it was the only supply kind of remaining. And it's exactly what we're coming into now. Because after breaking this structure, we were kind of grinding down, not doing anything that significant, leaving this zone, this return to zone above us, right? With all those stop losses. So I have been waiting to add to this position potentially if we came back to that zone. Because looking at the volume profile in this range, it's also where that volume area high in the POC is, right? So after the break, we had then slow grind down. So it's very normal, as I always say. I told you guys this last time. I literally told you guys this last time. It works on any time frame. Whenever you have a model 1, okay, a 1, a 2, a 3, and after the break, you get this choppy price action, right? It likes to have that pop back up. I was referring to Solana in last video when that happens, but that pop back up is very typical if you have that slow grind down right here. Well, that slow grind down is right here. And this can be the pop back up before going lower, right? Especially since the way we have been coming up, yeah, we know the volume area high is there right now, but the way we have been coming up is also leaving a lot of sell-side liquidity below us. And you know, Bitcoin loves to move from liquidity to liquidity. So we grab all the liquidity above, we break structure, and then we move to the liquidity below us and lower, because the liquidity, there's so much liquidity below us, so much, okay? So as of right now, I am more bear than bull in this local range that we're in, just because we have so much sell-side liquidity below us. But when I saw all that sell-side liquidity, it made me actually think of another range way earlier back in 2023 that also had a lot of sell-side liquidity, and it was looking like a distribution, but it broke towards the upside because we're in a bull run. And that's the one thing that's holding me back from being 100% convinced that this trade is going to work. And the range I'm referring to is actually the range right here. This range. Okay? This is the range I'm referring to. Because what happened is that we were in this range, okay? We were in this massive range. It was actually also during summer. I think it was actually during summer. Yeah, it's kind of the same. More in August. Now we're more in July. Pretty. I didn't notice that actually. So what was happening is that we had this range, okay? And this was our initial range point, range high, range low. And then we deviated the range high. Now we don't have a deviation of the range high. That's why I'm even more bullish, right? But we had that deviation of the range high. But what's more important is that we deviated the low, okay? We deviated the low. And what happened from there is that we started to create a range. So we deviated the low and we started to create a range. And pulling the range from the low up, which is the correct way to do it, right? We have this. Initial range low, initial range high. Deviation 1, extended. And then here, deviation 2. Indicating a possible Wyckoff Model 1 distribution. And we had so much liquidity below us. This was just all one big curvature of liquidity. And what happened is that price just came back inside the range and then pumped, literally pumped. And in this situation, we also had loads and loads and loads of liquidity above us, right? Lots of liquidity above us. So it's kind of giving me the same vibe where this is the bigger range that we're currently in on Bitcoin. And then we deviated the low to create a range that had lots and lots of sell-side liquidity, looking like a distribution, but it went back inside just to pump out and squeeze everything. So applying this to this range, this will be your main range low that we're now deviating. And this will be the local range that's looking like a distribution with lots of sell-side liquidity below us just to, come back inside and potentially pump, because we have lots of sell-side or buy-side liquidity above us, right? Right here. This is just one big liquidity sweep. So I know, all of a sudden this popped in my head when I was like, yo, there's so much sell-side liquidity below us that it made me wonder if it's actually going to happen, right? And the only reason this could potentially happen is because we're in the bull run. Because normally if you're just trading neutral, this is a distribution and you're looking for shorts. Okay, you're looking for shorts. So I'm very curious. We just swept all liquidity right here and we tapped in that supply zone. I think we just front ran it actually, but yeah, I consider that's close enough for a tap. It's more important you swept a lot of liquidity and you filled some inefficiency on the left. And then this right here is your market structure low. Let me just make sure. Yes, this is the low to break. Okay. And then we have that liquidity curve here. So as of right now, we have that distribution at the top. It is confirmed. This could be the LPSY, which is just the lower high before we go lower, okay? And I would prefer this scenario because it's really the final capitulation event, People becoming boo again and then smack them all for the market makers to fill those long positions and come higher. But you have to realize that market makers have had enough time to fill long positions because we have had all these deviations already, right? Deviation 1, 2, 3. So it is possible it would just go up from here, which again is that scenario 1 I gave you guys about this being a V-shaped recovery. But I would like to spend a bit more time, after an aggressive dump, it's like a selling capitulation. We dump hard and people stress, and then comes a time capitulation where nothing happens and people get bored and they forget about it, right? So that's just Bitcoin. As of right now, I'm still leaning towards this distribution and I am short. I'm still short with my stop loss above this high, but I don't want to lose this high, okay? So my stop loss is still there, but I'm kind of going to watch what happens once price starts maybe potentially breaking that supply zone, because you have a Model 1 distribution and this is the only supply zone remaining and it's inside the volume profile. You're already inside the volume profile, so why deviate it again, right? Why deviate it? So I really don't want to lose that supply zone right there, which is kind of my stop loss at break even, but I've hit a tiny TP right at this demand zone, okay? So I'm kind of de-risked. And the way I'm properly de-risked is because I took a long trade, okay? So this was the short of yesterday. And today I took a long trade on Solana to hedge my short positions, okay? So what I did is that right here, okay, Solana is in an overall Model 2 accumulation, okay? And I was kind of surprised that Solana was in a Model 2 accumulation because Bitcoin and all the other altcoins weren't accumulating. We were still distributing and not accumulating. So I was kind of surprised for Solana to show me that strength, because I would also prefer for Solana to actually take the range low. And what happened is we had that distribution, which is something I will go over to in a minute because it's the most clean distribution in history. But we came down to close to that low, but we started to create a range, right? We started to create a range right here where this is your range low, this is your range high. And right here, we had that first sweep of the range low. And this was at 1220 today, 1220. And 1220 for Bitcoin was, just when we were right here in this range, kind of doing nothing. No deviation of the high, no deviation of the low. So I was like, if Bitcoin is going to have this retrace back up, this can actually play out on Solana. So we had the range deviation right here. We always wait for a market structure break back inside the volume profile. Very important. When I trade a second tap, it needs to be a break back inside the volume profile. So we have a volume profile here, kind of nice distribution shape. And then I waited for a structure break back to bullish. Structure break back to bullish. So grabbing markets from the top down. You have lower highs and lower lows. Right here is your market structure break back to bullish. We did have a demand zone that we left behind, but it was a demand zone outside of the volume area again. Well, we just got acceptance back inside. It is possible, but, in those scenarios, what will be ideal is to have a reconfirmation. So on the retrace leg between this point and this point, if we have a structure break back to bullish, that will confirm that it's the higher low for the higher high on this pool, right? But we didn't. I can already tell you that. we did not have that. So I have this break back to bullish right here. And then this was your 1 minute demand zone. There you go. So where I entered was right here on these 3 upwards candles, but I kept my stop below this low because it was more of a hedge position, just to make sure, right? Just to make sure, because we didn't have structure from the top down to confirm something. This is not a proper pullback because doesn't have 2 upwards candles and then 2 downwards candles. So it was allowed for sure to come lower, right? So I just entered here but with my stop below the low to hedge my position. And then at the top, we had nothing but liquidity. Like right here, we have nothing but one liquidity curve, right? There's no supply here. It's just liquidity, all buy-side liquidity. So this position is currently still open. However, I took out like 80% of the profits on this range high right here. So I'm still long on Solana while being short on Bitcoin and short on Matic, okay? So yesterday, once we were distributing on Matic or on Bitcoin, I was also checking my Pepe, Solana, and Matic chart to find a potential good entry. And on Matic, we had a range at a very crucial point, also that 1 hour high, same as Bitcoin. And we had that initial sweep, forming a range, having our 1, 2, 3. And this high, you can neglect on the higher time frame. Because if you're on the 1 hour, this is not a market structure pool. So on the 1 hour, you just have 1 and 2. Okay? That's why I neglect this high right here. And we had the distribution. And then when do we confirm a distribution? Like I said before, if you break market structure from the low up between tab 2 and tab 3, this is tab 2, this is tab 3, this is the low. Market structure from the low up is high, low, high. Here's your break. Okay? So there is that break confirming this Model 1 distribution. And of course, on the retest, we look for an entry, which again was right on the reconfirmation right here. Okay? Very simple. These are very, very, very simple setups. We did have this supply zone here, and I would have preferred it to come to this supply zone right here because that's the only supply zone remaining, right? So if price came up here before rejecting down, it really gave price no reason to come back up because we mitigated all supply. But we don't have that, right? So also when I took this trade, since the target is so big, I kept my stop above this high, okay? Kept my stop above that high, and then I targeted this low. And again, also on this setup, I took profits below this low, which was just a simple liquidity point, right? Just a simple liquidity point on the chart. I would say this is one liquidity point, this is one liquidity point, this is one liquidity point. So that's how you can kind of scale your way out of a position because it is a big target, right? And who knows what happens in the meantime. So I took a partial there, so that trade has some realized profits. The Bitcoin trade has some realized profits. The Solana trade has some realized profits. And now we're getting that retrace on all pairs because Bitcoin is having that retrace, right? And it's a very, very, very crucial moment here for Bitcoin. What's going to happen? This black line represents my stop loss on that trade. So, if I lose that trade, it kind of, the Solana long and the TPs kind of, they balance each other out. I've done it in a way where everything kind of balances each other out. Now made around 2% on the Solana trade and then made around 1% on both partial TPs, which is a 3% gain. And then if I get stopped out, I lose around, a bit more than 1 on Bitcoin because it was a higher risk trade, and then a bit less on Matic. So I'm really, really, really chilling at the moment regarding my positions. Um, and I will look to add. I'll look to add to the short. I took a TP here. I'll look to add that TP back if I see some market structure lows being broken, right? And that could be massive. That could absolutely be massive. So those were kind of the trades I have taken. Now I want to give you guys the perfect Model 2 distribution I have seen in a very, 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 very long time. Okay? So let's delete this to keep it clean. I was traveling yesterday, right? So I was entering every position on my phone, which is it's normally something I don't do. I have a rule, once I'm out, and I'm not thinking about trading, and I'm really trading when I'm behind my PC, okay? Something I struggle with a lot, so maybe it can help other people as well, is that my whole life became trading. I went to the gym, checking my phone for setups. I was out with my family, checking my phone for setups. I was always alert. Even going to bed, I kept my alerts on, and they could wake up me in the middle of the night. And they woke me up in the middle of the night for a potential trade. And I was like, it drove me crazy. And then I saw a good video about people talking about when you're at work, you work. When you're out, right? Don't combine the two. It's a very good video. And it changed my perspective as well. So now I'm just trading when I'm trading and I'm behind my PC. However, this was a different situation because I was waiting for that high on Bitcoin to be broken for a very, very, very long time, or to be wicked out for a very long time, right? So that's why I still took the trades on my phone. However, I wasn't paying attention to all pairs because I'm on my phone, right? Tiny ass phone, 4 pairs. I cannot combine them all. Even when I'm already opening positions on one pair, I don't have the urge to per se enter positions on another pair. But if I had to describe a perfect Model 2 distributions, this distribution on Solana will be it. This will be it, okay? So, going over that right now, let's build some context. We do have that Model 2 accumulation at the bottom, but that doesn't mean we can have any distributions for pullbacks for potentially a higher low, right? We came into a very significant resistance zone right here. I think it was actually a 12. Yeah, it was like I didn't mean that one. This one. You can just see it here in the 4 hour. It was range supply. So I had this whole zone on my chart. It's just this move up, this last move up before breaking structure right here. It kind of indicates that seller stepped in here, again, protecting their positions once you come close to their position entry. And then if you refine it like crazy, you can see that this right here, it kind of already breaks it, mitigates it, continues away, right? So when that happens, I like to refine it to this. There you go. And then if you go on the 1 hour, you can actually see that inside of this zone is an order block at the top right there. And as you can see, we mitigated it, okay? So let's get rid of the lower one so we know we mitigated the top one. So this was in general just a POI that I was watching to short, okay? I was very confident in this POI working, but then the way it developed, the way price developed coming into the POI is what makes it so significant. Because using our most relevant structure, which is just the most recent structure from the low up, higher lows and higher highs, right? Higher lows and higher highs. We are forming a range. I don't know what happened to the two there, but we had higher lows and higher highs right here. And then we're forming our range. Boom. Range high, range low. So we were forming a range, right? You had the range high, this is your initial range high, this is your initial range low, and then we had the deviation of the range high, before coming back inside the range. And afterwards, we came back inside the range, okay? So, initial range high, initial range low, deviation of the range high, tapping into that supply zone we were talking about, okay? Very significant. Tapping into the supply zone we were talking about. Therefore, once we come back inside the range, okay, I'm immediately thinking of a potential Model 2. Why not a Model 1? Because we already mitigated the supply zone. And there wasn't really any significant supply zone above this supply zone. So I was like, okay, I'm immediately thinking of a Model 2, even though there was no structure to confirm this deviation trade, because the way we came up was just one straight shot up. But because we mitigated all supply, I was immediately thinking of a Model 2, okay? Because why would price have to take out that high one more time? There isn't a supply zone to be mitigated above it. Now, mind you, it can still make a Model 1. I'm just more confident in the Model 2 working, okay? Prior to deviating that high, we were actually coming close to that low without taking the low. Very important. We came close to the low without taking the low. Meaning that we have very clean looking equal lows, almost equal lows, which is just liquidity, right? It's just sell side liquidity building up, okay? After a deviation, we came back inside the range. But do you notice something about the way we came back inside the range? Look at how we came back inside the range, leaving so much liquidity above us. So much liquidity. It's insane. This is like one of the most beautiful liquidity curves I've seen here, where every lower high is lower, 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 lower. They're all lower. So everyone that shorts puts their stop above the previous high. So massive amounts of liquidity is being built up here, which supports our idea of a potential Model 2, right? Because what is a requirement for the third tap of a Model 2? One, it either takes all liquidity, and this is your extreme liquidity point, or it hits and mitigates extreme supply or demand, okay? And you don't really have any supply above. So I was just watching for this liquidity point to get taken to confirm a valid third tap. What happened is that price came up after coming down, continuing this trend line liquidity right here. Price squeezed up, squeezing all that liquidity. Boom. And look at that. We took the extreme liquidity point and see how much you pump. See the pump to dump. See the buy to sell right here. That's because there was so much liquidity above these highs that it just shoots up at once, hitting everything before going lower, right? Now, again, when do we confirm a distribution? If you break structure from the low up between tab 2 and tab 3, this is the low, so structure from the low up in here. Zooming in, we can see that right here is our low. Boom. That's our most important low. And then even the liquidity that we have here, we also have liquidity here, because it's just a slow grind up, right? Even a slow grind up during Asia. It's even an Asia low. Now, let's check if we broke structure. I think we actually did. There you go. Okay, now it becomes important. What do we have? Let's reassess. We have a range. We have a Model 2 where every tap is valid. Okay, the second tap mitigates supply. Third tap, it grabbed extreme liquidity. We have the break of structure. What are extra variables that we have to make it a high probability setup? Okay, well, first of all, the time displacement is amazing. Just me on the 5 to 10 minute time frame drawing these taps, it just looks extremely clean. It's not that tab 2 and tab 3 are way closer than tab 1 and tab 2. Like the distance is amazing. Literally, the distance is, I think it's almost perfect. I think this is a bit shorter. Let's see, this is 20 hours. This is 1 day and 7 hours. 10-hour difference, that's fine, right? Absolutely amazing. We can see a very, very, very aggressive sell after grabbing all extreme liquidity, meaning there are definitely market makers shorting the market right now. Bitcoin at this moment in time is also deviating its range high, which is a lot of confluence for the Solana short, because it's like basically just a beta version of Bitcoin regarding moves in percentages. We broke structure. Okay, we broke structure. It's confirmed. We have a return to zone. That's an extra. Did we break back inside the volume profile? Yes, we did. Even better, we broke back inside the volume profile, breaking market structure, and now we're having a back test. Now, what else can we get? Well, it would be perfect if price back tested the volume area high, right? It would be perfect if price back tests the volume area high, breaking structure from the low up while respecting market structure from the top down, which is low, high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, right here. This will be perfect. Rejecting from here will be perfect. Well, developed. Okay, we're seeing rejection. You can start shorting. Oh, look at this. We took the high once more, meaning now you have actually a way to confirm that this right here is going to be the lower high, because if we break structure from the low up locally right here, if we break this low, that confirms that price is going to come back to this low, and then this is going to be the lower high. So what happened right here, you broke the low, boom, enter, stop above the high, target, range low. 5RR. That simple. Boom. And guess what? Actually redistributing here. You see that? 1, 2, 3, break structure, lower high, dump. Redistribution on the lower time frame. You don't always get them this clean. This is when you triple down on your risk and you make like 15% in one trade and you're done for the week, right? It's literally, these are these setups. Took all liquidity above, confirming that this is a valid third tab, broke market structure back inside the range. We got a reconfirmation in the most ideal zone, respecting market structure from the top down, broke back inside the volume profile, returned to zone. It's beautiful. Bitcoin is aligning, taking the range high. It's perfect. This is perfect. So if you want to study a Wyckoff Model 2, this is the most perfect Wyckoff Model 2 that you can get. You don't get them cleaner than this, literally. 1 tap, 2 tap, where the second tap actually hit an important POI, a good looking supply zone. 1 tap, 2 tap, second tap hit an important supply zone, third tap grabbed the most obvious liquidity inside the range, aggressive buy to sell, broke back inside the volume profile, had a retest of the volume area high and the supply zone, respecting markers from the top down, having a reconfirmation and a return to zone. Like, this is everything that I can ask for in a distribution trade. So it's very unfortunate that I wasn't aware of this when it was happening. I was in the car. I think I just landed here. Yeah, I just landed. Very unfortunate, but they will appear more often and I will be aware. So yeah, absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And again, the order flow objective could be, because this is the only pair with a proper accumulation. The order flow objective of this distribution could be to mitigate some more demand and go higher, right? But it still means that even though we're in the bigger accumulation right here with a 1 tap, a 2 tap, and a 3 tap, that this can still play out, but it was just meant to put in a higher low for a higher high eventually. Okay? But really, if you want to study a Wyckoff Model 2 distribution with all the confluences there are, this is the distribution. Okay? It was 9th of July from 10:30 till 17:50. Study that if you want to study Wyckoff Model 2 distributions. Checking Bitcoin, kind of struggling in that zone, aren't we? Yeah, kind of struggling in that zone. Now you can actually move it up towards here. Now we officially mitigated though. So let's see what's going to happen. I'm going to put my alert there. This will probably also take some time to upload, but yeah, that's it for me, right? I'm kind of de-risk on the positions with the hedge and the TPs. I will look to add once we start breaking structure properly and I see something on the back test. And it could become invalidated. And if it gets invalidated, I think we will pump, literally. But we would really have to leave this supply zone, okay? We can take this high and maybe flop around, but until we start closing above this supply zone, that's when I would really get, not worried actually, like more bull. So then indeed, I think we could get something like we had down here, okay? Where we left all that sell side liquidity and we just pumped. So that's it for me, guys. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'll answer it all. And I'll see you guys tomorrow in the post-trading analysis video. Peace.